Hello, my dear friend, and welcome to the Spiritually Engineered Podcast, where we take a deep dive into the human experience from a spiritual perspective. Come on in, and I invite you to stay. So I was having a conversation with a coworker of mine, and something that I was sharing with her and to open up to her about myself. I'm a spiritual individual, and what I care about and what I'm sharing and when I interact with people, I care about the human condition. I care about the processes, the you could say the psychology behind what it is that we do and why we do it. Because it is from there, from within, where it starts. And everything you see outside, and even things in your own life that you witness, that you're experiencing, is a product of what's happening within. Even as something as a simple thought can domino effect into something, honestly, pretty amazing, for better or for worse, because it is a testament of the power of energy, what you and I are, life force energy. So for this episode, I want to start off with the key word that I checked with my guidance to kind of pivot. I'm gonna experiment a little bit with this episode, how I want to approaching it. So the key word for today I want to open up with is fast. F-A-S-T, fast. The adjective of fast. The adjective form. And something that that has come up when we get into that human conditioning, I want to talk about care or caring. Now, something about myself is that I care a lot. I care a lot about my life. I care about the well-being of my loved ones. I care about being of service. I care about working with my spiritual team. There's a lot of things I care about. And I would also imagine you could relate in many ways if you're listening to this on the things in your life that you care a lot about. Now, the thing that for me, when we get talking about the condition, the experiences, the human experience, I find that for most people, especially if they care a lot, a lot of the stress that I know for me that I go through, that I put myself under, is because I place too much care on things. It could be a thing or situation or another person. Like a simple example, I could overthink a message that I sent to somebody I care about. And I'll just get into a little spiral if I'm not careful. Or I might overthink if I'm doing a video on YouTube or something, and I'm start to get second guessing myself, or I start to worry how's it going to be perceived, that I say the right things, or all these things, right? These lot of care, too much care. Too much care equals stress. So for me, what's been a lot of the focus for this particular area, what I want to work on, is to be able to shift that, in a sense, dial it down, but not so much so that it's like, okay, maybe I should just stop caring, I'm sure what's been said, to me of when it comes to caring is don't care about what other people think of you. Intellectually, yeah, that makes sense, but experience can tell a different story. I know for myself, and there's different areas in life for myself, speaking for myself, where it can show me, oh, this is where I'm having trouble placing that too much care, as opposed to just, okay, maybe I need to care less and less. And as I'm sharing all this, there's this. I'm also talking about worry as well. I think worry is another way of just framing this all. But caring a lot about what it is I'm experiencing, what I've got on my mind. We all I think that's a commonality that we all have. So getting back to what I was kind of sidetracked a little bit of shifting that so that I have the right amount of concern that I'm gonna call true concern. Because when I mentioned earlier of like not having concern or not caring, like, oh, stop caring what other people think, or care less or whatever. Well, I don't care. I think it's not. I think most of us all like. I think I'm kind of repeating myself here. Like the caring piece. Like I'm just thinking about like I don't. There's not a lot of people that are truly apathetic. Like they don't care. I mean, I'm not to say like I'm sure they are, but like I said, I think there are more people that actually care to some varying degree. True concern being a solution. When I'm caring a lot about something that I'm causing myself stress, usually for me, I'm putting a lot of my energy into things outside of my control. Take for the example of like, okay, caring about what other people think about me. Like, if you were to ask me, like, I think not caring what other people think is kind of dumb, actually. I think it's important to have some concern because I've learned that people can give some good feedback about myself. Then I'm like, ooh, let me regroup that. But then there's some stuff that I discern. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's not okay. Whatever. Thank you for sharing. Have a nice day. And that requires discernment. Requires a practice of discerning, which you can do. It's not rocket science, It's just like okay, what does this person say? Is there any validity behind it? No. Okay, cool. So it's like having just that amount of concern so that I can work with the feedback using that example, right? That true concern. So it's like, okay, what people say, that's outside of my control. People can say what they want because freedom is a universal law. People are free to do what they want. What's in my control is how I react to it, or if I want to instead respond to it. So getting into true concern, when I'm in that vibration, I'm showing up fully and doing what I can reasonably in what's in my control. And that is my thoughts, my feelings, everything inside me, my physical body, right? And even lumping my physical body with it and what I do with it to move through whatever's come up. Say if it's a comment from somebody. And I think that's something that really is a process. Just now just shifting it back, true concern. Okay. I focus on and do what I can in my control and not and with the things that are outside of my control to trust that. Ever heard the saying people say trust the process? When it, at least for me, when I'm trying to work through situations, I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't I don't have a knowing behind what I'm experiencing. It's like the part of like at times in life where it's like figuring it out, trying to get in this messy process. All normal. It's okay. It's a reminder to myself. I don't have to have it all figured out. I don't have it all fixed or any of that stuff. It's just at times I'm like, all right, just be patient with it all and just stay in the moment as it's unfolding. That's a big one for me. It's like staying in the moment of where I'm at. Why it's important to be in the now. I get to add on to like where the stress comes in. It's like focusing on my energy into the past or the future, which is again like to varying extent is outside my control. But I would also say, particularly for the future, I do have some control to some varying extent. And there's power behind setting intention, setting my direction. I will say that. And so, and one thing I want to add about, about there's a thing about like this balancing out, so not have too much concern. It's such an important thing to have concern because us being here on this planet in this school was birthed out of concern for ourselves at least, because we all came here collectively to work on ourselves and also share in experiences and learn from each other and to give to one another, being of service. And so, and I think also I want to speak to, I want to speak to like caring a lot. If you're someone that resonates with this and you care a lot, if there's something or anyone in your life you care a lot about, I think that speaks a lot to that you and I feel deeply. We're not shallow when it comes to what we experience, you know? Experiencing deeply like love, connection, pleasure, joy, enthusiasm. And that has a price. To feel all that deeply, of course, when grief can come up, sadness, frustration, we feel that just as deeply as well too. Or at least speaking for myself, I feel all that deeply as well too. So there is just this need to just come back to balance. The patience and trust I'll bring up again because those have been very important things for me. Relax and I'll be honest, as some things too, especially emphasizing the things outside my control where I can have a lot of care, is just to let it go. Let it go. You know? Maybe perhaps, I'm not assuming, but just name an example. Perhaps you may care about the well being of people even far away, like with current events, for example. I can think of some friends that have a lot of concern about friends from afar or the human beings from afar and what they're going through, and it affects them. And want to get to the point of the episode, we want to wrap it up here. We want to keep this nice and short. When it comes to all this stuff, the nuances, that's like the what. For me, I have to remember there's a bigger picture. We're all going through life, experiencing lessons, and granted, it's like a lot of it. It's messy, a lot of stuff going on. It can seem chaotic at times, but I'm at a point where I can see things from a much more simple perspective because of what I've been taught and what I've experienced. I will put that. You have some understanding of it to a degree. It's not something foreign. It's not some mystery or secret. At least what I've come to discover. And it's really about, so there's a saying, it's not what you do, but how you do it. So, as I mentioned earlier, it's okay, not to have too much care, not to care so much to the point where I'm over concerned, I'm worrying, but shift it back to true concern, but not get too so far down. I'm like, I don't care about anything. Right? It's that balance so that as I'm moving on my day to day, I'm not allowing the energy within myself, how I use my energy, to work against me. You know? If I start to care so much about a situation or whatever, like, what does that say about my own current state? And me losing touch and not being aware of, oh shoot, I am causing myself unnecessary stress. You know? So a lot of it is really to channel the care in the way that works. Channeling care that is followed by action. Right? So if I'm going to worry, if there's something on my mind that I'm concerned about, can I do something about it? And if I can, all right, well, there's an opportunity. And if I can't do anything about it, the trust and patience. And so this is something that I've been regrouping for myself, working on and letting go, because really it can just paint this picture of life. It's just like, oh, it's so crazy and all this, and it's really not at a certain point, at least for myself and where I'm at. It's just because of I've been identifying my condition and the patterns, the thinking patterns, and all the stuff within me and my inner world. It's because of looking at all that and evaluating that within myself is why I'm sharing this, and what I want to emphasize, for yourself, and an invitation to just think about those things in your life or the people or the circumstances. What are some things you find yourself caring too much about to the point of worrying Worry, worry, worry. Maybe it's something that makes you anxious. And use it as an opportunity to kind of sit with that. Why is it that? Why do you feel so like? And you can also ask yourself: is what you worry about outside of your control, or is it inside of control? If it's outside of your control, what can you do about it so that you're not causing yourself undue stress? And approaching that, you begin to focus on the inner within yourself of where you do have control, in my opinion. And so that's some things I just want to impart with you to think about, to not allow, because it's, again, I can worry all this and whatnot, but what good is it if I worry and care too much about a lot of things, if it just makes me bent out of shape? And when that happens, I won't be able to show up in my best foot forward in my interactions with people day to day. And daily interactions matter. They can have a positive impact. Even if it's not reciprocated, I still show up because it's part of my standard. I don't do it because I'm supposed to, or something outside of me is like, Alvin, you better act good or else, naughty boy, you're going to go to hell. No, I do good. I am of service. I give out of my own standard because I get so much out of it. There's a difference. There's a very clear difference in motive. What's yours? So the key in all this, true concern, that balance. I do what I can in my control. I trust and have patience and let go of what's outside of my control. And where there's influence, of course, that's, I would lump that into where I have control, but it's still not total control because it's like just influence. I think that would be like in the middle, influence, which is a thing because I'm affected, influenced by my environment, but also I can influence my environment. The environment can influence me. I can influence my environment. The same can be applied to people, and balancing and all of that. And so when I start to really have more concern about my current state as I carry myself on my daily adventures and my daily endeavors, to me that's part of mastery. I'm able to work with my energy in such a way that I'm like a master of my situations. And I think that's part of what life's about. Because when I'm doing that, I'm enjoying my life more. I'm having more up days and down days. I feel more control of myself. I feel more secure within myself. And I'm just fulfilling, committing to what I've come to do, my life purpose. When I'm doing these things that I've just been talking about in the past, some minutes. So all this to say is just I care about what it does. And I'm working on making sure that I don't, with my energy of worrying too much, not let me get bent out of shape, because who helps in that equation? If it doesn't help me, it's certainly not going to help anybody else. And I'm all about win-win in my ballpark. If you win, I win. If I win, you win. And so just channel that energy, direct it well so that it serves you, so that you can give of yourself in an abundant way to others or into whatever work you're doing, regardless what it is, your work, at home, anywhere, really. Operating out of that abundance and fullness of life. And that's contagious. That's super contagious and has a lot of power. That kind of stuff that can trickle into other people and it can slowly affect them. I mean, that's something for them to kind of accept and allow it to help them heal themselves. It's like in that instance, it's like 50-50. It's like it goes both ways. Like they have to show up, It's like helping somebody who also wants to help themselves. Can't happen if the person themselves doesn't want to be helped. If I'm helping the person and they don't want to help themselves, that's different. Then there's kind of a, I guess, moot point. Like it's just kind of a stop in the road. So, true concern, my friend. True concern. I think that's the best way to move, especially as a spiritual individual like myself. Moving through life, having just the right amount of concern in such a way that I can flow and move through and show up where I can and trust, have patience with the rest. And so this has been another episode of the Spiritual Engineer Podcast. I'm your host, Alvin Cepeda, signing out. And as always, take care, my dear friend.